Joy here with subrosatea.com. Have you ever considered growing your own tea garden? That's right, you can absolutely grow a lot of herbs and flowers that we use in the tea world. You can also grow the tea plant. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about several of the herbs that we grow here at Sub Rosa Tea. I'm also going to talk about the health benefits, but why? Why would you grow your own plants? Do you have the space, the time? And of course, some of the health benefits might motivate you to grow your own, but depending on where you live, you might want to just buy them from us as well. So here we have, I have 7 plants that I'm going to talk about today, but we do have a whole variety that we use here at Sub Rosa Tea. Right now we have over 100 flavors of loose leaf tea that we sell all year. We also do a lot of themed bundles. So in this video specifically, I'm not going to talk about a themed bundle, but what I am going to tell you a tip about using our website is each one of these items that I talk about and possibly a plant that you might want to grow, you can do your own research on our website by using the search box. So whether you're shopping on our website, subrosatea.com, or if you have downloaded our mobile shopping app, which you should be able to see words above my head as a welcome, we have a search bar. So you can type in any words. Like in today's video, I'm really not going to talk about ginger. But of course, we're a tea company. We have lots of tea with ginger in it. So if that is something that interests you, you can always run a search for all of the flavors that we sell, for instance, that have ginger. Welcome. Thank you for joining us live. Thank you. We are on several social media platforms right now, so I want to say thank you to everyone for watching live. And of course, friends, if you're watching it on the replay, there won't be a live red above my head, but I do have everything in the queue on the mobile shopping app, and of course, you can always watch the replay. We play our videos on YouTube, which bounce back to a page on our website, so you can always watch the replay there. And you can definitely shop at your convenience. Friends, my name is Joy. I'm the owner of Sub Rosa Tea. We're a small company based in Northern Ohio, and we'll ship anywhere in the United States. So, like I said, we're based in Northern Ohio. Some of these teas, well, I do not grow anything that we sell, and I don't want you to think that I do. I don't. First of all, that would be a whole nother business in itself. I am a solopreneur. The tea recipes are my own, and I do everything else in the business, but we are not growers. One, I live in Northern Ohio, not exactly the most congenial climate for everything. And we do source our ingredients from across the globe. Some things are going to taste different if you grow them yourself. Now, I think those of you who do have a vegetable garden, you might know that those items taste different than when you get them at the grocery store. I have a dear friend in my life. She grows tomatoes for me. I happen to adore them. Her tomatoes are the best that I've ever had. She doesn't believe me because she actually doesn't eat tomatoes. I love that about her. But anyway, she grows them for me and it makes me really happy. We don't use tomatoes in the tea world. Trust me, we don't. But I just wanted to make sure that I made myself really clear. The items that I am showing you here today, I did purchase them from a very local herb farm. They have been in business over 35 years. They know what they're doing. If I was going to grow something, I would grow it for my own personal use, and I personally would not start anything from seed. My personal preference would be to start it this way. It gives me about 6 to 8 weeks jump start that I can actually see that the plant is doing well and that it's exactly what I'm looking for. I love this method a little bit because I'm impatient. Also because I just like the size and, it is what it is. Like I said, these are not exact things that we use in our tea blends, but we do use all of them in the blends, just not plants that I grow. So in today's video, we've got a couple people watching live. Tell me this, friends. Do you have a green thumb or brown thumb? Do you have a green thumb in which you garden and grow your own goodies yourself? Or is your thumb kind of brown and absolutely nothing's going to grow for you? The nice thing about these particular plants that I'm going to talk about today, you could possibly grow them if you have access to sunshine. All you really need is a really sunny window, which is nice. like none that I'm going to talk about today prefer shade, which is kind of the problem where I live. I have a very shady piece of property. I don't mind the shade, but my plants definitely would. Also, you definitely want to consider how much time that you have. Some of the plants you're going to need to prune and love and give food to. Some of them you're just going to need to water, but all of them do need a little bit of active time. None of them are just going to grow randomly for you. So Melissa says, oh, definitely not a green thumb. Andrea's also brown, also a brown thumb, but her box is very green. I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful for that. So let's dive in. First thing I'm going to talk about today is chamomile. Here at Sub Rosa Tea, we sell chamomile by itself, and we also sell blends with chamomile in it. Let me tell you, for some reason, we have had a huge surge in our chamomile blends. Like I said, we've got a website. We've been in business 11 years. We have multiple flavors with chamomile. We've had a huge surge in chamomile teas. So there's a couple good reasons why you might want to grow your own chamomile, and if not, at least drink chamomile tea. First of all, chamomile is known to boost your immunity. It eases with cold symptoms. It soothes stomach aches. So those are fabulous reasons. Now keep in mind, this particular guy here, this is a German chamomile. This is the type of chamomile that we do use here at Sub Rosa Tea. German chamomile is the type. German chamomile specifically is an annual, so that might interest you. Keep in mind though, there is a whole nother type of chamomile that's very common called Roman chamomile. That one in particular is a perennial, and it can be grown from an established plant. Like I said, here in Ohio, not exactly the best climate, but you could do it. The thing about chamomile is it would be okay in part shade, but it really does prefer full sun. But it also prefers cooler conditions, which is actually something that we get. Every once in a while, we have a hot day, like a really hot day, but it's nothing like Arizona or the south of California. We just don't get days over 100. At least not yet. So chamomile might be something possible. Oh, Miss Cassandra has a green thumb, but only works on indoor plants. I totally get that. It is different when you have an outdoor plant. There's so much more to consider. Personally, I love herbs, edible herbs. I love to cook, and I am definitely toying with all of the great herbs that can be grown both inside and outside. Next up, friends, let's talk about elderberry. Oh, yes. Before I go too far, okay, let's talk about elderberry next. Elderberries. That is this guy right here. This little tree, isn't he cute? He reminds me of a character from a movie. I love the elderberry. So elderberries in particular, it's a tree, as you can tell, and it does produce both elderberry flowers, edible flowers, and berries. I think everyone knows what the berries look like. They are a very, very dark color, a dark purple color, almost to the extent of being black. These are, of course, dried. The dried version is what we use specifically here at Sub Rosa Tea. Keeping in mind, when you harvest fruit from a plant like this, a tree like this, and intend to use it for tea, you're going to want to dry it out. So specifically, if you're a person who lives with your windows open all summer, your house might be full of humidity, and it might take you a lot longer to dry your fruit, so you might prefer to use a dehydrator. In general, though, when you're picking your leaves and your flowers, you could hang them up and let them dry for a couple of weeks. That's normally how long it's going to take for you to dry them out enough to be able to steep them for tea. Specifically, a reason that you might want to give this one a try is elderberries. The berries specifically contain more vitamin C than oranges. And of course, it is known to help boost your immune system. The plants start producing berries when they are 2 to 3 years old. Who has the patience? Anybody? Anybody have the patience for that? Like I said, you'll see flowers sooner than that, and the flowers can also be used in your tea. Now, elderberry trees here, they do love moist, well-drained soil and plenty of sunshine. I was thinking of some of the other things that I eat that I love buying from the farmer's market, and I have such respect for our local farmers. This year, I got ramps for the first time. I knew what ramps were. I've seen them before, but I haven't seen them in years. And I recently learned that ramps, the plant itself, you would only actually get a harvest that you can eat every 3 years. Well, oh my gosh, right? Do we have the patience for that? Do we have the patience to grow a plant that you can only yield something every 3 years? And I was also thinking how easy it is to grow each one of these herbs and plants and flowers to yield berries. Things like asparagus, for instance. I love asparagus. I buy it from my local farmers. And I just recently learned that you have to plant the root bulb a foot down in the soil. Like, even that is more complicated. I love all of the edible herbs that I buy. Basil, cilantro, chives, simple things, easy things. They're in my little pot, easy peasy, right? If you want to grow asparagus, you really need to be committed to a lot of space and, of course, have depth, good quality soil, more than 12 inches down for you to grow asparagus. So the tea's looking pretty easy, right? Looking pretty easy. Next up, let's talk about lemon balm. Lemon balm is one of those items. Let me show you the tea that we have the lemon balm in. Sweet Dreams. Sweet Dreams is the flavor that we have lemon balm in. Oh yes, that's this one here. Let me show you too. I want you to see the leaves. I'm hoping I can get it close enough to the camera that you can see the leaves. Lemon balm is a part of the mint family. And I think this plant looks exactly like mint, quite frankly. So the reason I bring that up is a lot of people who have ever tinkered with growing their own edible herbs for the kitchen, specifically, you might have tried mint, or someone might have warned you about mint, that if you plant mint in the ground, it travels and spreads, and the entire area will be mint. The same thing is going to happen with lemon balm. So like I said, it's in the mint family. It's not a reason not to try to grow it. You just want to put it in a pot. Keep it in a pot. It's not going to play well with the other ones, especially if you're going to try to grow an entire tea garden yourself. So reasons why you might want to consider growing your own lemon balm is, first of all, it aids with both insomnia and anxiety. Do you understand now why it is in our blend called Sweet Dreams specifically? Lemon balm is a tea that's going to make you a happy camper. Like I said, it's part of the mint family, but it doesn't smell like mint. It actually does smell and taste a little bit like lemon. It's so easy to propagate. So this is one that when you have a successful plant growing, you can easily divide it and give some to your friends. Who doesn't want happy friends, right? The other good news is grows best in full sun, but it might just grow okay for you in shade, part shade as well. Keeping in mind there are different varieties of lemon balm, so most of these plants you might really want to have a conversation with someone local. I love that I have a local, like she's 3 miles from where I live, an herb farmer, that she knows what I'm bringing it home to. Instead of like a retail space, like if you go to one of those really big box stores, I'm not sure if the person who necessarily buys for that store understands what you are bringing it home to in your own environment. So just keep that in mind. Melissa said if I had to grow my own food, I would starve. I totally get that. Honestly, all I can say is at some point in my life, I didn't know how to cook. That's a fact. I wasn't born with the knowledge, and now I'm a really good cook. I'm so serious about it. And I think most of you who attend most of my videos, you know that this past winter I dedicated an awful lot of my free time to learning more about nutrition specifically. Not just health benefits, but nutrition. And it was shocking to me how my lack of education was kind of affecting some of my cooking habits. So I wanted to incorporate that. And now that I feel I have a better education in nutrition, I have a really strong desire to learn more about the actual plants. I don't know that I'm ever going to be a farmer per se, but I do aspire to at least have the knowledge, and it really does my respect has grown exponentially now that I understand how hard it is and the amount of work and effort and knowledge that our farmers do put into these plants. And like I said, here at Sub Rosa Tea, we have an infinite number of ingredients, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I really could not possibly grow them all. And I couldn't grow them all effectively, efficiently, and in the quantities that we use, because we are really big enough. I'm telling you, it's not just like the family of 4 of us drinking tea, which is why I'm doing this video, because I'm thinking some of you might just want to grow your own. But it's just the whole point that not only do I have respect for my local farmers for the food that I eat when I cook it, I also have a lot of respect for the hundreds and thousands of people around the globe that are providing the tea ingredients that we use here at Sub Rosa Tea to make fabulous, healthy, and delicious blends here for the tea that we drink. So kudos to everyone. Miss Tiffany, hi. Thanks for joining us. Tiffany says that are by 3 of the same plant, 1 in bloom each year, so they're on rotation. I agree with you, Tiffany, that would definitely have to be the case, especially in ramps. Asparagus, like I had brought up earlier, it does take 3 years, just like the elderberry, to produce anything edible. So some of these things you might not want to do, but some I think are really worth it, right? Your health, you only have one body. You only have one body. Let's talk about hibiscus next. Hibiscus comes up a lot. I think a lot of people know that hibiscus has been known to lower blood pressure. This is the hibiscus plant. There are definitely hundreds of varieties of hibiscus as well. This one is beautiful. Let me show you the dried flowers. Now, friends, hibiscus is something that we do sell on its own. So we do sell hibiscus on its own, which, like I said, it is known to lower blood pressure. So with that in mind, you might want to add hibiscus to every cup of tea that you drink if that is your goal. A lot of our teas are going to taste really fabulous with just that bump of hibiscus. So hibiscus, known to lower blood pressure. It's obviously beautiful, which is nice in a scenario like this if most of your garden is growing green. It is nice to have that beautiful pop of red, purple color. What else did I want to say about that? Oh yeah, over 200 different species. So lots of choices on the hibiscus, keeping in mind that you're going to pick a specific species based on the region. I think we've got people here from all 50 states, so that makes me fun, but it really does matter your climate, which one is going to grow best, or maybe possibly if you're an inside grower, that's also a good choice, but you do need full sun. So keep in mind, hibiscus specifically needs full sun, which makes perfect sense, right? It's one of those fabulous plants. It also needs well-drained soil. I know in the South, specifically like Georgia, they have a lot of red clay, no drainage. It's like not going to happen. You really have to work hard to be able to grow that. So keeping in mind that option when you decide if you're going to do that, but it can be grown in a container. So that's also a very nice option. And this is another one that you can have year after year, but you want to make sure that you learn how to prune the plant every spring so it continues to yield. Oh yes, Andrea just said, do I have any hibiscus tea blends? As a matter of fact, we do have a couple tea blends. I'm going to talk about 2 of them because we sell them all year. Depending when you watch this video, if you're watching it on the replay, we might have others. So I would remind you at this time that both on our website and on our mobile shopping app, we do have a search box. As long as you spell the word hibiscus correctly, it'll populate all of the flavors that we have currently in inventory that have hibiscus in it. First one I can talk about, friends, here is wild blueberry. Wild blueberry has hibiscus. Oh, that reminds me, currently we even have a hibiscus gift set. So if it's something that you want to try a couple of the teas with hibiscus, that's kind of a nice way to try a bundle of them, save some money, also very giftable. Wild blueberry is a green tea. I think it's the only green tea I have in the queue today. So this is green tea, blueberries, of course, hibiscus. Hibiscus by itself can be a little bit floral tasting, fruity and floral, which is nice. It just goes really well with berries. Next up is our raspberry limoncello. So raspberry limoncello does have the hibiscus, but it does have both raspberries and lemongrass. Lemongrass is known to be really good for your fluids, your lymph system, your fluids there. So it plays well together when you're thinking about how are you lowering your blood pressure. You know, you're working with your fluids, especially like you think about yourself when you lay down at night. There are people who wake up in the middle of the night specifically because they've been laying down for such a period of time that it affects their blood pressure, and the swing in their blood pressure wakes them up. So I hate to hear that stuff, but it does help to have a cup of hibiscus tea before you go to bed. Just like the raspberry limoncello, it's something that's nice and smooth and soothing, caffeine-free. It might actually help you to sleep. Raspberry leaf, oh yes, let's talk about that next. Let's talk about that. So raspberry leaf, while we're talking about raspberries, raspberry leaf specifically, where is that? Oh yeah, that's this one. This is the raspberry leaf. Now, there are so many different kinds of raspberry plants. There's ones that yield the sweet raspberry fruit, the tart raspberry fruit, the black raspberries, you understand. So lots of raspberry leaf options in the tea world, but raspberry leaf in general is known to boost your immune system. So you gotta love that. It's also known to help with your metabolism and to regulate hormones. So raspberry leaf, specifically the raspberry limoncello that I was just talking about, we've recommended that for years. That girls as 8, 9, 10 years old, their hormones are coursing, that the raspberry limoncello is an excellent one to help regulate the fluids, the hormones, the raspberry leaf. It helps ease the symptoms of colds and flu, and it also helps with inflammation. So again, the raspberry leaf was specifically created for all of those things in mind, and I made sure that it was also caffeine free, because when you have those issues and you want to gain those health benefits, you might want to have a couple of cups of tea a day, especially in the evening. So the tea is really simple to make from the leaves. You just want to make sure that they're very dry, and then all you have to do is crush the tea leaves. You do want to make sure that, again, you pick the right plant for your region. All right, next up, oh yes, I wanted to make sure that you knew about Throat Treat. Throat Treat is a caffeine-free tea. We tend to sell more Throat Treat in the fall and the winter, as you can imagine, the switching of the seasons, but this is one that I highly recommend this time of year. I happen to be recording this in the springtime, and sometimes my spring allergies get the best of me. I think it has a lot to do with the wind, that when I'm out and it's very, very windy, I get even more pollen into my face, and I have an even more severe allergic reaction to the allergens that are floating around in the springtime in Ohio. So sometimes I get a really severe burning, and I love that I don't just have this around in the fall. This is something that we do have all year. This is one of the only things that actually works for me, and it works so quickly, and it works for a long period of time. So this does have raspberry leaf, which I just mentioned is very good to regulate hormones, increases metabolism, really good for those easing the symptoms of cold and flu, even though in my case it's allergies. But this also has hibiscus in it, which is another thing that we talked about. Now the magic thing here is slippery elm. I don't have a slippery elm plant, but this is the only tea that has slippery elm in it, and I really think it is a magic herb. It really does work well. I also happen to like the taste. What can I say? It is a treat for my throat. Absolutely. All right, friends, what do we have next? Oh yes, let's talk about thyme next. Thyme is another interesting plant. This one here, this little creeping guy, can you see him okay? Let me bring him, is he stuck? Let's talk about some thyme. This little guy, now I bought this particular thyme plant because this is the type of thyme that I do like to cook with. But thyme really does make great tea as well. Thyme to me kind of reminds me of like Thanksgiving. I tend to use it more in the fall. Do you do that? Do you use certain herbs seasonally? Everything else I use all the time, and I crave it all the time, and I want it all the time. But thyme specifically to me is a fall thing. But again, it makes a great tea. So it is in cold and flu. This is caffeine free. So thyme, over 300 varieties of thyme. That's why I wanted to point out this one. This is one of my favorites to use for cooking, but there's so many different kinds that I recommend you might want to try a few of them to see which one you prefer to grow, which you prefer to use for both your tea and your cooking. There's just so many. It is again part of the mint family, so you're going to want to put it into a pot, into a container. You are not going to want to plant it in a bed because it will spread like crazy. But and like I was just saying though, you might want to still get a few plants because bees love them. And of course, we want happy bees in our garden, right, friends? We love them to be happy. Now, specifically, while you can grow everything from seed, this is one plant that I highly recommend you do buy already started. It is just best to do it that way. And like I said, very easy to propagate if you decide to share it with a friend. Thyme in particular does need space. It needs a lot of sunlight. It does need well draining soil. So you're not going to want to keep it into a tiny shallow pot. You're going to want to give it room to groove. But it's a good container pot and it does need a lot of sunlight. So for those of you who are working maybe just with a windowsill, just make sure your container is big enough, but it's going to definitely love the sun. That is all of the plants that I'm going to talk about today, but some of the other herbs specifically that you can absolutely grow yourself that are ingredients that we use here at Sub Rosa Tea. Mint is one of them. The hardest thing about mint is picking which flavor of mint. We use a lot of different kinds of mint here at Sub Rosa Tea. We have peppermint and spearmint, apple mint and chocolate mint, Moroccan mint. I mean, the list goes on. You understand. Again, mint, grow it in a pot. Ginger is something that you can absolutely grow yourself. It does need filtered sunlight and moist soil. We do have a lot of teas with ginger. We always do. Dandelions is an interesting one. I know a lot of people do consider it to be a weed, but it's got a lot of health benefits, a lot of powerful antioxidants. It has great nutrition to it. You're going to be able to eat all those fabulous leaves. It is known to help stimulate the gallbladder and the liver, so dandelion might be something you do want to grow on purpose. It does need a lot of sun, but it'll grow in partial shade as well. And you can definitely use both the leaves and the roots of the dandelion plant. Let's see, do we have any other questions? Oh yes, I just wanted to make sure that you knew if you decide to grow your plants, especially if you're growing them outside, the best time to harvest your herbs is before they flower. So not hibiscus. Hibiscus, we do want the good flowers here, but all of the other ones you're going to want to specifically when you're using the leaves, you're going to want to harvest those leaves prior to it flowering. Don't want to wait too long. If you do wait too long, it can be bitter, which again, if you're going to go through all this trouble, right, we want it to be absolutely fabulous tasting. It is recommended to cut your herbs mid-morning, and the reason specifically why is that you want the herbs to have all of that morning dew to already have evaporated or dried, because of course you're going to dry your leaves in order to make tea. You understand. So the best way to dry out your herbs is definitely the air method, just hanging them up in a bundle. You'll see them hanging up upside down. It will take a couple of weeks in general, especially if your house is not humid. If it is humid, it could take even longer. Or you, of course, can use a dehydrator. You just want to make sure that it is completely dry before you really try to crumble it up and steep it. You just want to, when they are dry, you are going to want to store them in an airtight container away from sun and air. You really want to keep them dry. So dry, I think a lot of people know that dry herbs, you're going to keep them in a drawer, right? Your herb drawer or your herb cabinet. You wouldn't keep them in the fridge. So you're not going to do that with your tea leaves either, whether it be tea that you buy from us or, of course, your dried production of your own garden. You want to keep them dry and not in the fridge or the freezer. But as long as they're dry, they really should keep for you for up to a year. So you want to keep that in mind too. How big will your garden grow and how big do you need it to be to keep up with the amount of tea that you want to drink, right? So that's kind of the reason why we don't grow anything here at Sub Rosa Tea, because it's just not possible at this moment. But we do have a lot of gratitude to all of the growers that do support our company and all of our great tea blends. All right. I'm going to just scroll up to make sure I haven't missed any questions. I would hate to do that, especially those of you who are watching live. Oh, Miss Betty has a green thumb, and she grows a lot of herbs. Oh, thank you. I bet, right? Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Okay, I don't see any other questions, so I wanted to say thank you to everyone. Oh yes. Oh right. I am, for those of you still watching live, next week we do have a new collection coming out. It is called Summer Splash. So while it is a new collection, 5 of them are not new teas. They are part of our summer collection returning, and one of them is new, a brand new tea. So I do hope that you all join me again live next Sunday, May 14th. And until then, friends, no matter what you do with the rest of your day, have yourself a cup of tea and take care of you. Bye-bye, friends.